Hey everyone, and welcome back to Mission 1820 and this week's episode of Have You Ever Wondered? If you're just joining us, we have been in this series called Books of the Bible, where we've been giving introductions to each book of the Bible in just 5 minutes or less. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this week's book. This week we are in the Book of Amos. This is the 30th book of the Bible, as well as the 4th book of the minor prophets. Now, the Book of Amos addresses the excessive pursuit, the self-indulgence, as well as the oppression of the poor, which described the period of prosperity and success in the northern kingdom of Israel under King Jeroboam II. Now, the author is Amos. And he was a sheep breeder living in the Judean village of Tekoa, which is about 10 miles south of Jerusalem. Now, the name Amos, interesting enough, means burden bearer, which fit him quite nicely because of the burden he was carrying when God called him to declare judgment to the nation of Israel. Now, Amos wrote the book, and he wrote it sometime between 760 and 753 BC during the reigns of King Uzziah of Judah and King Jeroboam of Israel. The book consists of 9 chapters, and it's divided into 4 sections. Section 1 is called the 8 Judgments, and this is in chapters 1 and 2. Section 2 is called the 3 Sermons of Judgment, found in chapters 3 through 6. Now, the 3rd section is called the 5 Visions of Judgment. Now, this is in chapters 7 through 9, verse 10. And then the 4th section is called the 5 Promises of the Restoration of Israel. And this is in chapter 9, verses 11 through 15. Amos is a prophetic book, and it's noted for its extreme admonition of the northern kingdom of Israel during a time of widespread idol worship as well as indulgent living. The book begins with a series of indictments against the 7 neighbors of Israel. This included Judah as well as Israel herself. Now, each of the foreign nations is going to be punished for their specific sins, either against Israel or one of the other nations. And this judgment teaches that God is the universal monarch and that all nations must answer to him for their transgressions. Now, even though Amos lacked any kind of formal education or even a priestly background, God still called on him to direct his message to Israel of their impending doom and captivity. This book is one of the more eloquent cries for justice and righteousness that you're going to find in the Bible. And it all came through a humble shepherd who dared to deliver God's message to the wealthy and the influential people of his day. The preaching of Amos stresses the righteousness and justice of God and his requirement that human relationships of his people also be characterized by righteousness and justice. So why is this book important? Why do we need to read this book? Well, sometimes we tend to think of ourselves as unusable to God. Our life is too messed up, or we're too misguided for God to use us in his plan, and that he simply can't use us for anything. Well, that's wrong. See, although Amos was just a shepherd, God still used him in a very powerful way. You see, God uses ordinary people all throughout history in order to accomplish his plans. So, whatever or wherever you are personally in this life, know that God can use you too. Just listen for his clear call. Do what he says, and wherever it might lead you. Amos may not have been much, but what he was he was a willing servant for God to use. So with that, I hope this introduction is going to help get you started in the Book of Amos. So God bless, and thanks for watching.